Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day and you're not super shook by what happened yesterday with Bitcoin. We'll take a look at that, of course. And if you're new to the channel, I just love to help people become better traders. I have a trading community designed for that purpose. Also a signal group as well, where I send out signals for every single trade that I take. Now we're going to take a quick look at Bitcoin, of course, just kind of get a baseline of what's going on here, because I think it's important just to get a quick understanding, right? So we got some strong support levels. We got 58,000 and 60,000 working as effective support. Those could drop out, and if they do, we might see somewhere in the range of about 52, 53,000. Now that is based on previous all-time high. This was just before the El Salvador candle, so that's effectively the one-day candlestick close high at right about 52,700. We also need to kind of just take a quick look at the GAN fan. You can kind of see here, if we were to lose this channel and the price were to continue to trail off, we could see somewhere as low again as 53, 54,000, right in that range. Okay. So again, there is definitely some good support that we have right now. This could and should continue to progress the price back upwards. But if it doesn't, and we lose that, then we might be in a position where the price will continue to decrease. Another last thing too, just to note, is the volume profile. We have a tremendous amount of volume right where the price action is at presently. That shows me that we have more confidence and more confidence in the long term for Bitcoin, being likely six figures by year end or early next. So just keep that in mind with a tremendous amount of volume in this recent, this is roughly about a month's worth of data, a little longer. Most people have been investing at 60 to 61,000. So that to me tells me we're probably going to see this as likely the floor rate, the floor cost, and we shouldn't see it go much lower. And that's just my personal opinion. If we were to go lower though, just keep in mind, and we drop below 58, it would likely be a free fall between 58 and 52/53,000. Right. So hopefully that doesn't happen. We'll see. We'll keep a closer eye on this. I might actually do a deeper in-depth dive on Bitcoin here soon, but that's kind of just the takeaways, right? Now, that being said, obviously we can see a correlation between Bitcoin and Sand. However, today, different story. And this happens a lot with these coins. I think IOTX has also taken off in the sense of the fact that it got significantly hit. It got hit hard. Most of them do because they're overextended, right? And then they recover quickly. So, I mean, for lack of better terms, it's doing very well, and we'll go ahead and look at smaller time frames, kind of see what's going on. But let's start with the macro first. So look at that huge candle. That is quite a lot of growth in one candle there. Look at that, about 40% in probably just a couple of hours. If I'm not mistaken, this just happened, which is great. Good for Sand. What it's doing is pushing the price back up over 70 on the RSI. That's reaffirming the fact that we are back in bullish territory. Now, granted, pending Bitcoin doesn't dump past 60,000, we should be in good shape. If Bitcoin stays 60,000 or higher, I think Sand will continue to progress upwards as it should and could have done previously, right? It's hit the reset button a couple of times. You can see November 10th right there, got hit kind of hard. But now it recovered quite quickly based on the fact that it's kind of understanding itself. It's like, hey, I'm doing really well as a coin even after a major sell-off from Bitcoin. It didn't tank sub $2. It stayed well above $2.20. You can see that not even 220 was tested in this case. So these support and resistance levels are holding pretty strong, and Sand is definitely here to play. So, big picture, I would say that Sandbox has a tremendous amount of potential still, just based on the one-day chart alone. Let's see here. We're still not worried about the moving averages there, but let's see here. We dropped below the 50, but now we're back up above. That's excellent news. That's reaffirming support right around 267. It may even reaffirm support at about $3.01, but I think it's too early to tell because, again, you don't use the 4-hour chart for support and resistance levels, at least primary ones. The big ones are the most important, so 1 day, 1 week. In this case, one day is probably the most effective, so if we can get the one-day candlestick to close above 301, then I think we're going to be in really good shape. That is roughly about, 7 to 10 hours from now, honestly. So, I mean, it's still a little early to tell. I wouldn't really be super confident in the sense that it's closed above that. That's a really good sign. Another thing to note too is it did kind of resist out here on the 4-hour candlestick close at about 317. So that could be a potential support level, a potential resistance level based on the simple fact that it came up to that point and stopped. But it makes sense that it stopped because this 4-hour candlestick is quite large, right? This is a 30% candle almost. So that's pretty significant, right? We need to respect the fact that you can only have so much growth in so much amount of time, okay? So all's well there. Let's see if we got anything else going on here. We have a MACD convergence potential. That is definitely squeezing up there, trying to break through. Bear in mind, the price is overextended right now, just in a general sense of the fact that it's ramped right back up to where it previously couldn't pass. So that being said, when you look at the MACD and you see it converging, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a buy signal based on the sense that, it's already kind of overextended. Will it continue? Sure, very much likely. As long as we can get the one-day candlestick to close over 301, or perhaps even the 4-hour candlestick to close above 317, 318, then we're going to be in good shape, sure. But for now, a little premature. However, we got some really good bullish qualities here. Look at this. The RSI is back up over 50 and essentially under 70. So there's much more room for growth. So this definitely has some really good potential. I definitely like the way that Sand is progressing. And I wouldn't be surprised if it continues to the upside, but it needs to correct itself a little bit because that 30% in just under 2 hours is so significant that it might end up testing one of the next major support levels. Okay, let's look at something else here. Let's see here. We're probably back above the cloud, which is great. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you just add to your position because we're back above the cloud, right? But it does give us that confidence in the sense that it would be considered a buy signal. So we do have a potential MACD convergence in the 4-hour chart. We got a breakthrough above the cloud. Those are typically two amazing qualities that you want to see in a coin, right? So that being said, that kind of gives us I wouldn't say the go-ahead, but that gives us the more so the confidence in the sense that Sand is back on track. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Bitcoin were to drop sub 60,000, perhaps even testing 58,000, in that things are going to get a little shaky when that happens. So just bear that in mind. Also note too, if the volume comes away from Bitcoin, it could very well go into coins like this. That's usually what happens when Bitcoin dominance starts to recede and we start to see that altcoin season. So a handful of little things that you can kind of think about, but for the most part, we're seeing mostly bullish qualities here for Sand. Just keep a close eye on Bitcoin, maybe set an alert at 60,000 and see if it's trying to drop below that. And then if it does, you might want to pay attention to some of your altcoins, specifically the Sands, the IOTXs, the Cadenas, Mana, pretty much anything that's overextended and still making higher highs for the most part, or will soon. Let's take a look at TD sequential. Obviously, it's going to be a little off. We went down to a 5 and hit a reset. Now we're up to a 3. So we do have potential of just say, 5 to 7, maybe 8 hours left of bullish momentum. I don't personally think that'll happen considering how overextended this is and how strong that pushed up. We're probably well outside of the standard deviation lines. If you can see that, the candle wicks are much higher than what we need to be able to see on the VWAP, which again is the volume weighted average price. Volume is a huge indicator. In fact, that's what enabled me to kind of identify that we're going to see a sell-off yesterday. I was able to tell my community we sold all of our positions before the dump, and it worked out very well. We're all kind of dollar cost averaging now because of it. And the main reason why is because the volume was off, right? We had 3 or 4 days of solid low volume, and the price was still increasing. That's a very big concern when you see the price going up on a major coin like Bitcoin, and there's no volume to back it up. Pretty much just means the bears were just waiting for a massive sell-off. And that's basically what occurred. So we're seeing this right here in a small sense where that standard deviation, the price got too high outside of that. So it needs to calm down and go sideways for some time. So I like the fact that it's consolidating at support. So what we want to do is just kind of hope and basically see. And when I say hope and see, we're just waiting for the price to effectively close above this level. 1 hour candlestick close is not enough. 4 hour candlestick, kind of, right? So if we can get the 4 hour candlestick to close above the resistance level that's created right around 318, great. If we can get the 1 day candlestick to close above 307, then even better. If we can get both those things to happen, then I would say it's a good consideration to add to your position. You can maybe even consider doing that now if you're kind of a dollar cost average person, or that's what you're planning to do anyways, because we have bullish qualities, right? We're back over the 4 hour, we got a MACD convergence 4 hour chart. We're over the 50-day SMA on the 4 hour chart. We've also got an Ichimoku cloud breakthrough. There's a tremendous amount of positivity here. The one variable we can't account for is Bitcoin. So just please note, Bitcoin is going to screw this whole thing up, which it commonly does, if it drops below 60,000. I would say 58 is probably more of a likely screw over, for lack of better terms. But I think if it starts trending closer and sub 60,000, we see a 5 instead of a 6 in front of Bitcoin, then I would just be very, very cautious. Okay. So hopefully you find benefit here today in this regard. One last thing, just to throw it out there. I don't think it's super relevant, so I don't think we're going to see it today. But big picture, we're still looking at about 545 as a close approximate of where Sand could be by either month end or year end. I think that's very likely. So just keep that in mind. That's still a potential we're shooting for. So again, hopefully you found benefit here. If you need more greater benefit, more individualized attention, so to speak, or a community to back you up, yeah, with some like-minded individuals, check out my Patreon community. It's a really awesome opportunity. The rates are increasing next month too, so make sure you lock that in this month if possible. So I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to seeing the next video. Have a great one. Take care.